Hello, hello, hello. It's Donna here from Blind and Knitting. How are you today? I hope pre-Christmas planning hasn't got you too far out of your comfort zone. And we'll talk about a few tips later on in this podcast on how to manage anxiety and stresses around pre-Christmas, because it can be quite a stressful time. So I hope you're all well. It's not only is it a stressful time, but it's a super busy time, and I've had a lovely couple of weeks, lots of entertaining, lots of visitors, lots of going out to other people. We had a road party down the road last weekend, which was really nice. Just all the neighbours got together and had everybody brought nibbles, and the kids all had to swim in the pool, and it was lovely. Yeah, it's really nice to sort of get together. I often think though sometimes it would be better if we got together after Christmas. And you know, we often have all these parties and functions and Christmas do's during Christmas, and we you know, you're treading water. Sometimes you're just so busy that you want to enjoy it, but you kind of just, you know, oh, pleased to get through it. And I mean, that's kind of sad. So, you know, sometimes I wish that we would have our Christmas functions in January when we're all fresh and can actually sit down and really enjoy it. Yeah, I have done that with staff do's in the past, and it's worked really well. Staff and team have turned up and really enjoyed themselves after Christmas. So yeah, I might think about that for next year, actually. I didn't really think that far ahead this year, but I mean, I understand that it kind of makes the buzz of Christmas, all of these things going on, but it also, you really want to spend quality time with people. It's all about quality, not quantity. And so like everyone you go to, it's like building up quantity. Let's, you know, slow it down and have some quality time. But anyway, that's my rant about Christmas do's. I have had a lovely time. I've had some lovely functions and caught up with some friends, etc. So it has been very special. Yeah, so oh, I don't even know if I've introduced myself. Rant. so busy, so quick. So Donna, Blind and Knitting is the podcast, and I talk about, this is my little world to talk about knitting, my crafts, my garden, also mental health and living with disabilities, as I am legally blind. So it's just sort of a little bit of everything. Predominantly knitting, I suppose, is my world. Having said that's why it's called Blind and Knitting, but I'm going to add all sorts of bits in it, because I think you'll find anyone that knits usually has a you know, finger in lots of other craft and pies, and you know, I'm certainly part of that as well. So I'll give you a little bit of bits of everything, including mental health. Yeah, it's starting to rain outside. I can see spits on the window, which is great because I planted my beans out yesterday, put them on little tripods, like little teepee type things to grow up. Hopefully they'll take, and I'm pleased it's raining because it means I don't have to go out and water them, which is really nice, a bit of a change. I have had quite a wet December. This December. It's been perfect for gardens, perfect for growing crops. There's a lot of farmers that will be able to take a sigh of relief over Christmas in this region. I think it's pretty much New Zealand wide. I hope so, because you know, living with drought as we have a few years ago was pretty hideous, and farmers, you know, that's not a great thing. So, Blind and Knitting. Now, one of the things I want to let you know is that I do have an Instagram page, and I started an Instagram page called Blind and Knitting, and got it all up and started and running, and for some right reason it got compromised. I don't know why or how. It says that I tried to pass my password on to someone, and I know I hadn't, so I can't get into that one now. I've tried it all sorts of ways and I've given up. So I've set up a new Instagram page, and it's called Blind and Knitting, but it's blind _and_ knitting. So I know there's some messages, pops up with notifications saying that there's messages on my old one. I can't get into it. So if you have sent me a message, I would really love to hear what you wanted to say. Yeah, so if you could try my new Instagram page, Blind _and_ knitting. I'll put it down on the description below so that you can find me. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you. So my apologies if you feel I haven't responded. It's not because I don't want to. I get some lovely messages, and thank you for commenting below on YouTube, etc. I you know, really love the messages. I did get one the other day from a blind knitter that I have connected with in the past, and we don't live in the same towns, but we communicate to each other occasionally, and it sounds like she's kind of got her knitting mojo back now, because she's been listening to my podcast, and yeah, so it's really nice to hear that if I can sort of spread the love around for one person, I'm really happy. I do this more for my own self. I really enjoy yakking away, and I'm going to sneeze in a minute. Hay fever. Oh, excuse me. That's the best part of me gone for the day. I'll have a drink of water. Where is it? Excuse me. It is the season, you know. In New Zealand here, our Christmases are in summer. So if you are watching from somewhere else where your Christmases are in the winter, hay fever and Christmas go hand in hand. So my apologies for that. Yeah, so where was I? Yes, I'll have a look at my notes. So social time, la-di-da. Yes, reminder. Now, I haven't done a lot of knitting. I do have one FO. Last time I spoke, I showed you my close to you scarf that I have made some time ago, or a few weeks ago, and I really love this. And I said in my last podcast I had a skein of wool left, so I thought I'd knit myself some fingerless gloves. And anyone who knows me knows that my middle name is often Teflon, because nothing sticks. So I started knitting Christmas hats for my grandchildren. I've knitted a little bit. I haven't even picked them up. I've started knitting a little pair of socks for myself, sitting there. So you know, procrastination is my friend. If I have work that I set myself, tasks to set myself to do, I tend to do the other jobs that I aren't. So here's my fingerless gloves that I made. This was just an old pattern that my darling mother-in-law had. So it's a seamed one, it's not knit in the round. Yep, they're really lovely. They match my close to you. I'll get a lot of wear of these out in the winter. I did make a pair, and I've shown these before in the past, a DK pair out of the same pattern, and I'll put these on to show you. They work, they keep me warm, but they're quite big. As you can see, there's a lot of positive ease in there. These are DK, and these are full ply, by the way. And so what happens is they slip down, which I find quite frustrating, especially if you've got a coat on. So although these work, I'm going to keep these for sort of camping and things where I'm not holding Kenzie's harness or anything like that. So these ones are much closer, snugger on my hand. They still could have been just a wee bit smaller, I think, and a bit longer. So I will knit more, because I do wear fingerless gloves in the winter. I do love fingerless gloves. I like having my fingers ready to be able to, you know, turn keys and open doors, etc., and my phone. So I really do love fingerless gloves, but I think next time I'll make them a bit longer so that they sit under my jacket and my jacket doesn't pull them up. And I may, you know, there's still a bit of positive ease in these, so I will make them snugger again. But I'm really happy with these. I haven't, as I say, the pattern is just one of those incredibly old, probably a patterns or something that is tucked away in my drawer now, so I didn't get it. But if you go on Ravelry, or Rav as people are calling it now, I'm getting up with all the lingo. I'm sure if you put in fingerless gloves, you would get a million patterns. So yeah, so instead of doing my Christmas my Christmas knitting, I ended up knitting for myself, which, what can I say? You know, that's just who I am. At my age, I'm not going to change. So yeah. So that was the finished object. Now the other thing that I wanted to talk about is I wore, in my last podcast, I wore my last FO, and it was the leaf jersey. And I have to apologise to the people who made it, because I was sitting very awkwardly and it was all scrunched up and bumbled up all up here. I hadn't blocked it because it's 100% acrylic, and also I wasn't sitting, I was sitting, and I did say I was tired that day, but I must have been slouching a bit, and it really looked terrible through the whole podcast, and it doesn't look that terrible when I wear it, although I did decide to block it, even being an acrylic, because as I said, I've made the neckline too tight, so I blocked it and I stretched the billy-o out of it, and so the pattern has sort of settled a bit more. It still has a wee bit of a wave, but nothing like what it looked like on my last podcast. So this is called Leaf Top, L-E-A-F, and it's by Barnett Designs, which is, and I've said it's a fairly old design, but I just wanted to apologise for not showing it in the way that was, you know, it just didn't make the top look very good. So I have got a nice photo of me in it on my Instagram. So if you want to have a look at that, you can. I've worn it a couple of times. I quite enjoy it. It's probably not, yeah, it's great for relaxed wearing. But yeah, I just wanted to say that it did look terrible in the podcast, and my humble apologies. I was obviously slouching, which my mother would have shot me for. Yeah, so that's that one. The other thing that I'm knitting on at the moment, and I was hoping it would be an FO, but it just seems to be, you know how sometimes when you're knitting and you just don't seem to get far with knitting, you know, just it's like, it just never seems to grow. This is one of these tops. Now it's 100% cotton, and I think that's because I can't knit very fast, because you've actually got to be careful with every stitch. It's very easy to get stitches over top of each other, and then the next time you go around you've got two crossing and you can't work out whether it's two separate stitches or whether you haven't hooked the loop over. So I mean, I'm enjoying knitting with the wool, but it is one that you just have to be a little careful with. I have got quite a way. I've separated for the sleeves. So the sleeves are, oops, where are we? Okay. Separated for the sleeves. There we go. And so I'm just on the straight now, so it's just straight knitting, which will help. It's looking lovely, and I think I'll really like it. As I said last time, it's a wee bit ropey because it's 100% cotton, but it is covered cotton, and I have, oh, I'm going to sneeze again, my gosh. Yeah, it is. I have swatched it and blocked it, and the swatched piece actually was a little bit softer afterwards, so it kind of, I wouldn't say bloomed, but just softened a bit, so take away the ropey feeling of the cotton. But yeah, I think it'll be a really cool summer top, and I do love the pattern around it. I really enjoy that. So I'm looking, I haven't tried it on. I did get gauge when I swatched, so it is what it is. Because I got gauge, I'm just going with the size, and I'll fill you in more as I go with that one. Yeah, that's the one I'm sort of knitting on the most at the moment. Oh, here's Kenzie. I don't know if you can see Kenzie, but she's just joined us. She's, yeah, just sitting down beside me. Let's see if I can move the camera so you can see. Kenzie? Oh no, she's going to walk away. No, sorry. Anywho, that's dogs for you. You'll get to see Kenzie along the way. Just have a little drink of water. It's all that yakking. Right, where are we? So I haven't actually, apart from my fingerless gloves, I haven't got any FOs. Well, that's my only FO. But I did wear my skirt today, so I wanted to show you my skirt that I made. And this is the one that I talked about that I had, I don't know where I can stand, a cheapest chips old skirt that I wanted to make into this. Really happy with it. It's just a straight pencil line skirt for work. Really pretty. It's simple, just elastic around the waist, which I promised myself I'd never do, but I'm doing it more because it's easier to sew rather than age and wearing elastic around the waist. But I'm loving wearing it, and it's really pretty bright Christmassy colours, so it's perfect for that. The other thing that I did do sewing wise is last year I bought online, oops, it's called that. I bought online a pretty Christmas dress. So, but I don't know, it's shrunk in the wardrobe over the year. I mean, it must be COVID. So I cut the top off and made it into just a Christmas skirt. So it's quite cute. It's a pattern with snow, and it's nice and soft. You know, it did have like a pretty, what shape was it? It was more like just a tank top type thing, pretty lace top, which doesn't fit me anymore. So it's a skirt with a bit of elastic around it, and I'm going to wear that Christmas Day. Just, the kids will love that, think I'm Mother Christmas. So I did do that in my sewing. Yeah, mental health. Well, you know, my office is shut, so things are slowing down a bit. I'm still working, but I'm working from home, so you know that's a lot of sort of paperwork, emails, like that sort of thing makes it a bit easier. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about stepping off the treadmill of work. And you know, when you're in the gym, or if you've seen it on the funny videos, and you're on the gym and and then you step off and you feel all shaky legged, and some people even fall over, and I mean they make funny videos of them, don't they? Well, that's kind of what it's like when you stop work. You stop work and you get off this treadmill, and it's like, oh, you know, what the heck, what's going on? It's really hard to settle. You often feel sort of, you know, I find myself sort of going, I just don't know what to do now, you know. I'll go and have another nap, or I'll read a book. So it does take quite a while for your body to wind down, and I think that you have to kind of accept that as part of it. Excuse me. So what the psychologists often suggest is that 3 weeks is a really good break. So if it's possible to have 3 weeks, and now the reason for that is the first week you're exhausted. The first week you're often just resting and tired. The second week you're starting to really enjoy it, and you're starting to get into things, and usually at Christmas in that time, and you know, you're really starting to enjoy it a bit. The third week is the really restorative stuff. Now that's when you gain the real benefit. So if you can have 3 weeks, then that's fantastic. So really try for that, even if it's during the year. I know it's a long time in one chunk, and a lot of us don't have the luxury of that. So there are other mental health, you know, ways you can manage your life. Pardon me, but yeah, that's a really good way to manage. And I always try and have 3 weeks. Although I'm working from home, I'm still working, but it's a different pace, and I can, you know, I can go and watch a movie or read a book or do some knitting when I want. Yeah, so I'll just pull my top up now that I've sat down again. I just wanted to talk about sort of how you feel when you step off that treadmill to have your Christmas break, and you're often still running even though you're off the treadmill, and you don't need to. Just take a breath, you know, do some breathing. And relax and try and enjoy it. You don't have to run around. You're not going to, I think there's a statistic, now it could be, I don't know the exact figures, I'm not very good at detail, but if you travel down a road at, for example, 100 mile an hour, you get there in a certain time frame. If you travel down the same road 110 miles an hour, you get there almost the same time, but faster. Well, I don't know how it works, but I know that, you know, it doesn't make a great deal of difference to the end result. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is if you are running around, it's not going to make a difference to the end result. You know, your nieces and nephews and cousins aren't going to know that you haven't bought that extra little thing that you wanted to put in the gift. They're not going to know that that's not there. So don't beat yourself up. Just enjoy the time and just take a breath. And I must admit, this year, well, I haven't actually been into town much at all. In fact, I don't think I've been into town at all. People are telling me that all the shelves are empty, and I've done all my shopping online. It's been great. I just sit there at night time and go, oh, now that would be perfect. Click and done. So I've done all my shopping online, and it's all come. I'm just waiting for one more thing to arrive, and tickety-boo, done. Yeah, that was easy. So I was able to do it while watching TV and knitting, and my Christmas shopping at the same time. Multitasking to the best. So yeah, so that was my little thing about just you know, breathe. And I won't do it today. I will show you later on in another podcast some breathing exercises that will help manage stress and anxiety. Today I thought I might talk a little bit about anxiety and some ways of coping with if you get put in a position where you start feeling yourself feeling really anxious. And we've all been there. some of us suffer with anxiety more than others, but we've all been in a situation where you actually feel like you're stuck, and then you can't breathe, and head starts spinning, and it's like, oh my gosh. Or you start thinking, I can't go and sit at that house because I just don't know how I'm going to cope with it. So anxiety is, so we are the only creatures on the planet that suffer with anxiety, and that's because we're forward thinking. So we think forward, we plan, and we've got a memory, and we can think ahead. So we know that we can imagine what's going to happen. Sometimes that gets carried away on us, and it becomes a really physical, a very real problem for people. Anxiety. I've suffered with anxiety all my life, and most of the time managed it really well. But it is something that you have to manage. It's not something. It does go away for a little while, and all of a sudden you think, oh, I haven't really felt like this for a long time, and then something will trigger it. So I wanted to talk about some little tips on how to manage anxiety over this period of time if you really struggle with it, or you start feeling that. I'll just get my notes to make sure I don't miss any tips. Where have I put my notes? There we go. And a drink of water. Right, so some of the tips. Well, the first one is breathing. So, and I'm going to do a session on how to breathe later, and the reason I'm not doing it today is because there's quite a specific way to breathe that will truly help. But just taking deep breaths will make a difference. So, just keep the breathing going deeply, because when we are stressed or suffer with anxiety, the first thing that happens is that we stop breathing well, and that's a vicious cycle in our whole system. So keep the breathing up. Just take good long deep breaths and keep breathing. That's number one. Number two is have an out. So if you feel like you're going to be sitting in a situation where you are, like you're going to feel trapped, just try and have an out. So ensure that you don't sit with your back to a door, or make sure you have your car keys in your hand. It's kind of a safety plan, really. It's like, if I start feeling really anxious, if this anxiety attack gets worse, what am I going to do? So it's having a pre-plan on how to do it. So you can picture what the house is like, can picture where, seats that you wouldn't want to sit on, so that you don't feel trapped, if that's one of the challenges with your anxiety problems. The other one that's really good is to just take things 10 minutes at a time. So don't think about the whole day. Think, oh, how am I going to cope with this whole day? Just take it 10 minutes at a time. Wake up in the morning and say, right, 10 minutes. Oh, okay, I've done that. I can manage that. Let's do another 10 minutes. Okay, I can manage that. If you start feeling a little confident, you can extend that a little bit. Try 20 minutes. But just break the day down into smaller chunks, and you'll find you'll really start to achieve a little bit more by doing that. And you won't be sort of planning that future planning thing so much in your head. Another really good tip is to have a mantra. Have something that you can say to yourself over and over again. Now, everybody's mantra is going to be different, and every situation's mantra is going to be different. So it could be something, it's got to be sort of a positive thing. It's like, what could you have? Like, I am enjoying myself, or I can enjoy myself, or this is something I will enjoy, or I do not look silly and I will enjoy myself. Or so it just depends on what your thoughts are in your head. So if your thought patterns, try and work out what your thought patterns are, and try and find a positive or an opposite positive to that thought pattern, and say it as a mantra each time. Some of my ones are, put your big girl panties on and just do it, and I just keep saying, put your big girl panties on and just do it. So that's a really good mantra if there's things that I just don't want to do. So that's one of mine. I mean, as I say, mine change as well, but having a mantra, I'm a good person and I can do this well, or yes, I cope well and I can manage this. I can manage this. So yeah, find yourself a mantra and just repetitively say it so that it fills your brain. This is my eyesight and me not being able to read. Avoid triggers. So if you do know what your triggers are, if you do know what triggers those anxiety things, if it's like It's hard to sort of say what a trigger might be, but everybody's is so different. If it's a certain person that triggers an anxiety, just try and avoid being around that person. Or if it's a song or a book or a card, or it can be anything with anxiety. That's one of the challenges, is this triggers all over the place. It can be somebody's birthday, or something somebody says, or a child says something just in a playful way, but it's something that's, you know, can be in your head, can be quite traumatic. So you try and not put yourself in positions where you might be triggered by something. Let me have a look. Fake it till you make it. That's a really interesting one. So I remember years ago I had trouble smiling. I still have trouble smiling. I've got the, what do they call it, RBF, you know, resting face. It's just who I am. I've got it. It's just me. But if you walk down the street with your RBF on, people don't smile back. But if you walk down the street with a smile, people smile back, and that's kind of a knock-on effect of starting to feel, by the end of walking down the street, you actually feel quite good because you've had all these people smiling at you. So you're faking it walking down the street with a smile, but by the end of it, you actually feel good about it. So rather than sit home and curl up in your anxiety ball, which, you know, we all need duvet days as well, sometimes they just have to happen, but rather than do that, try thinking, okay, I can get through this. I'll fake it at the beginning, and then I'll start making it, and then things will improve. So fake it till you make it. You know, so pre-planning is a really good one. Make sure that you think about what the day might look like, what could be your triggers, what could be the things that could possibly happen, you know, and just pre-plan those in your head. Again, as I said, anxiety is that pre-formal thought. So just try not to put too much negative thoughts into those. If you really are struggling, just talk to somebody, talk to a friend, talk to a family member. If you have a close friend or family member that understands, that makes a huge difference. You know, you can, if you're starting to feel a little shaky on it and not feeling very secure and your anxiety starting to rise up, go and sit with that person, and even if you have a word that the two of you can say together that makes them understand that you're feeling a bit shaky on it, and I don't know what the word could be, but you might sit next to them and say, it's very windy today, and they will know that is, especially if it's not windy, don't say it if it's windy, they'll know that that might be a trigger to say, I'm actually feeling really shaky on it today, and they'll be able to support you with that, you know, and say, is there anything I can do? And push all else fails, look, get some professional help. There is professional help out there that can work and that can help you. But that's anxiety. We do seem to be struggling more and more with it. In my professional world, I just see it on a daily basis, and people, as I say, I've struggled with it myself all my life, managed it and struggled with it. I think you can hear talking in the background. I'm really sorry, that's the answer machine's picked up, so someone's leaving a message, but hey, that's the talking in the background for you. So that's anxiety. I was going to talk about, what else have I been doing? Oh my gosh. Last time I showed you my beetroot in my garden, and I planted out beans yesterday, and capsicums was the other thing I planted out yesterday. My garden is just flourishing. It's just, we've had the perfect weather. We've had hot, muggy rain. So it's had lots of heat, lots of rain, and the garden is just flourishing. So I picked beetroot last week. Here is my beetroot relish. So I made beetroot relish for us. What has come up on that? Someone is ringing. How dare they on my phone? Sorry about that. So I made beetroot relish, and it is scrummy. It's beautiful with cheese and crackers. So easy. It was a friend, or a work colleague actually, years ago that gave me the recipe, and it was just super easy. It's the first time I've ever made it. Just vinegar, sugar, and beetroot and onions, and boil and thicken, and tickety boom. So yummy. I'll make some more of that. I've got more beetroot coming in the garden. I don't know whether to bottle it or make relish. I'll see what we use more of in the next few, before I make some more. They make great gifts too, so I quite like making gifts like that. So I'll make some. I have given some away. I think I made 4 or 5 bottles, and I've given away 3. So yeah, 2's enough for us. There's only the 3 of us here, so we don't eat copious amounts. It's not a huge family. It's just a waste otherwise. The last thing I made before that was what was it? Onion marmalade, and that was really yummy too. So I'm not sure if there's any of that. Trouble with my pantry is things creep down the back, as we all know what it's like in the pantry. Things creep down the back, and I don't know if there's any jars left, but also in the back of the fridge, so is at that organic stage and looking through the back of the fridge to try and clean up the fridge. Anyway, that's been my mission. The other thing I wanted to talk about is putting pressure on yourself for buying Christmas gifts. Now I've been given 2 lovely gifts, and friends have given me. I haven't made these have been given to me. So the first one was the lovely lady that comes to guitar, and her daughter made bath salts. So she's just put a little ho 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 on the jar, and beautiful. So she's got Epsom salts, Himalayan salt, lavender, and I can't remember what the other one was. Smells sort of like sage or something savoury. Oh, just beautiful. So that was full. I've had a bath. So I had a lovely soak in the bath the other night with a red wine and loud music and this, and it was just wonderful. So what a lovely wee gift, and it's just in a used jar. So this is the sort of gifts that I appreciate. This is the sort of gifts we should appreciate, because it's been handmade. It's been really thought about, and her kids have helped her. So wow. So thank you, Danielle, for that. This is another one that Frances, who has worked with me for years, made me. And it is calendula and kawa cream. It's a balm that she makes. And oh my God, it's good. It's better, than deep heat. It's just a beautiful cream. And when you've got an ache, especially a knitting ache, sometimes you get really sore shoulders or sore arms. This stuff is amazing. And that's a homemade gift. She's made it with love and thought. Calendula and kawa together are just fantastic. I've made calendula cream before. Frances has made calendula cream all the time, but adding the kawa has made a huge difference to it. So there's another really neat gift that someone's just homemade, and I just love those gifts. Yeah, so you don't have to spend gazillions of dollars. Yeah. Anyway, that's my rant. I'm going to go, and I'm on leave now. As I said, my office is shut. I've still got some things to do. I've got a client this afternoon, but it's by phone, so that's reasonably easy. I don't have to travel anywhere. I've got a couple of emails to answer and a report to write. But apart from that, I am going to knit, and I'm going to watch TV, and I'm just going to put my feet up and have a sleep this afternoon. My nana naps because I'm still in week 1 of the tired, and I don't know about you guys, but I suffer with fatigue anyway. So there is part of the being blind is, as I've said before, being blind is really any disability that is not just being blind, but if you have a disability, everything is harder. And I'm not saying that for pity or sort of, wah sort of stuff. It's just a simple fact. When you do something, it's jolly hard. Just walking to the Chook House today is a great example. Walking to the Chook House. Now we've got 2 trailers, and I couldn't work out where the end of where the trailer bar was. So, you can't just get up and walk there. You've got to kind of walk there and really keep an eye on that, and remember, I've got to remember, the other trailer's over there, so I wonder where that is. Nothing is easy. Nothing is simple. Just a simple job like, I'm always breaking things. Simple job like putting the dishes away. I'm inevitably going to break something. And it's funny, I was cooking, it's not funny, well, it is, but I was cooking an egg today. As I say, my anxiety's up a bit because it's Christmas, and I've stepped off the treadmill, and I'm still in the stepping off the treadmill stage and haven't sort of completely chilled. So, and I was cooking myself an egg for breakfast, a double yolker. My chooks laid a double yolker, which was really cool, so that was a bonus. So I was cooking my egg this morning, and I picked up the fry pan and bashed it on the toaster, and it just made like cymbals, boing, and it just went right through me with you know, and I thought, you know, just a simple thing like cooking an egg, and I get this like right through me cymbal noise. And I mean, you know, you probably, you know, maybe you're sitting there going, come on, you just bashed it against the toaster. And I did. That's all I did. Didn't break anything. But when you do that every day with every job, you know, it can be very tiresome. And so if you know someone with a disability or a challenge, you know, be kind, because it's bloody hard. It's really hard. And so yeah, just be kind, and do your self-help. Just do all your self-care stuff. You know, self-care is critical, because your health is your wealth, and if you don't have that, and hence why I love my knitting, because it is so good for me. I can just sit there, and I can what I'm going to do this afternoon is, I don't want to do mindless knitting, which my Gemini, my red, is up to. It's up to mindless knitting. I want to do something that I can put a bit of thought into, because I'm still in that thinking, my brain is still active. And so I've got I'm on Wardrobe Toolbox, and anyone in New Zealand, well, it's not just New Zealand, anyone, if you are on Wardrobe Toolbox, which is a Libby Johnson, Truly Myrtle, what do you call it? It's like a program that you pay for, and you get master classes and patterns and all sorts of things. It's wonderful. I'm really loving it. Thank you, Libby, if you do watch my podcast, and I will link Libby's patterns down below. It was actually Libby's pattern, oatmeal, that really got me on this learning journey of new ways of doing things, which I've said in one of my first podcasts. I'll link her down below. Yeah, so where was I going with that? I've kind of lost my thread. Yes, that's what I'm going to do this afternoon. I'm going to knit some of my my bejeweled scarf that's truly, it's the wardrobe. Can't show you it, I think. Don't think I'm allowed to until the pattern has been released to the public, because you get patterns in your Wardrobe Toolbox. So I need to check actually whether I can show you or not. But I think I gave you a sneaky peek previously, but it was just a sneaky peek. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something that involves a little bit of thought, because my head is still moving, and then I'll go on to the mindless knitting later. Anyway, that's probably enough of my ranting and raving. So yeah, just if you go to check on Instagram, I have the new handle, blind_and_knitting. I'd love you to subscribe. Down the bottom, just click the subscribe button and the little bell if you want notifications for when I bring them on, when my new podcasts come through. Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I just want to wish you a truly wonderful Christmas and a relaxed and quality family time. So just remember to take those breaths, just go slowly and enjoy the moment, and you'll have a wonderful time. And yeah, Merry Christmas to you all. Take care, and I'll see you in the new year. Bye for now.